Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so did I have Xander Page on the line, and he's founder and CEO of Trusted Ally Home Care. Xander, welcome to the
Hi,
show.
Adam. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Xander. So excited to get into today's topic. So we'll be talking about really the benefits that nuclear workers were entitled to or are entitled to, and what that looks like. And of course, we'll go into Trusted Ally Home Care, and I want to know more about your business and what's taking place there. But just to get us kicked off, we'll start this interview the way that we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Xander, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Xander, what mission matters to you?
Here at Trusted Ally, our mission is keeping former nuclear workers safe, happy, and healthy in their homes. We started this company because there was a need for in-home care for this population of hardworking men and women around the country who did incredibly interesting, difficult, and often dangerous jobs. And those jobs exposed them to a number of different chemicals, different elements, different hazardous materials. A number of these folks have been impacted by their work. And here at Trusted Ally, we care about making sure that we take great care of these folks. They're incredibly special people. They've got amazing stories from working in this nuclear program from the 50s onward. And when they need that kind of help and care, here at Trusted Ally, we're all about making sure they get the best possible care, information, support, so that they can enjoy the longevity and the quality of health that is possible for them. That's what drives us forward. And that's really based on why we do what we do in our founding story, which I look forward to telling you about too.
That's awesome. And love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs and executives on the line to share, why they do what they do, like what motivates them and what you're doing over at Trusted Ally. I mean, what a mission. So awesome having you on the show. And so maybe just to get us going here, I mean, we'll go further into Trusted Ally, but first off, like, how did you get started as an entrepreneur? Like what led you on this path?
So it started probably about 20 years ago. I went to a summit here in Colorado, and two speakers were Mohammed Yunus, who's the grandfather of microfinance over in India, and John Hatch, who is a US-based entrepreneur also in microlending. And for me, that was the first experience of understanding that business could be a tool for change, for social change, and for supporting people in their own growth and development. So that kind of blew my eyes open to go, wait a minute, business can be more than just about purely profit. Profit, of course, is an important part of the story to be sustainable and to be able to grow. We are not a nonprofit, but we are a mission-centric company. So that for me was the start of the story. From there, I moved to the Bay Area and worked around technology and social impact investing, and realized that service-based businesses like this one really allow you to take care of people on a one-to-one basis. And that's something that is at the heart of what we do here. So it's been a progression and an evolution of the how we help, but the why is always using business as a tool for positive change.
So, there's a lot of people out there that'll be watching this and they're thinking about, being an entrepreneur and kind of going on that journey. And we all learn from the ups and the downs, the sideways, it's never a linear path where everything just works out. What kind of things would you tell to some of those aspiring entrepreneurs that are out there that'll be watching this?
I would say, great question, Adam. Find something that really motivates you and drives you forward, whether that's a particular problem that you want to solve, or if there's a solution that you feel really personally driven by. That's our story here at Trusted Ally. This was all coming about because of my wife's connection to this community of workers. Her great grandfather was a person like that. So it's a very personal problem to solve. If you have that kind of burning desire and passion, that can propel you past the initial hurdles, which we all face. I've done a lot of startups and not all of them work, but it's that passion that gets other people excited, bought into your mission, and gets the support and help that it takes in those early days when the real resource is the burning desire to create something new and different. And that is attractive to other people that want to help and support. And now, as an entrepreneur who's a little bit older in his career, that's what I look for when I look for young entrepreneurs who is really fired up about making change. And those are the people I want to help them make that happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to help them make it too. That's why we showcase and bring on entrepreneurs onto this show. Is really our mission is to really get those messages out there and to just support the mission-based businesses. So I'm very brand aligned here, Xander. So before we get into Trusted Ally more, I don't want to assume that everybody watching this, especially maybe some of our younger generation, know exactly what the nuclear program was and kind of how it affected our country. So I'm not asking you to be a scientist here or a social scientist or historian, but I know this is your day-to-day work. So maybe just give us a little bit of insight into the nuclear program, just to kind of set the table.
Happy to do it. Thanks, Adam. So I think we're all familiar with, World War II and the Cold War to some degree. And so there was this nuclear weapons arm race that occurred primarily with the United States and the USSR. And so our response to that was the rapid development of a whole nuclear weapons and nuclear energy program. This was in the 50s and continued up to today. It's still active, although less so. So what we had was a number of sites across the whole US, some that were based in getting some of these rare earth elements out of the ground, like uranium mining in New Mexico, where we do business, or here in Colorado. This was the manufacture of some of the components of these devices, like the plutonium triggers that were made here at Rocky Flats. There was a ton of research done around the country to the East Coast and the West Coast. So what you had were tens and hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked in this program over decades and decades. And this work was classified. This work was very difficult. It was new science. It was very dangerous. The elements and the different materials they were working with, even in the best case scenario with a ton of safety protocols, still had risks to folks' health and longevity. And this was just all part of this development program over, again, decades and decades, that was really necessary at that time in history, so that we were able to have the counter to this kind of bigger global issue of nuclear devices, which is a mixed history too. And a lot of our clients and former workers feel both very proud and patriotic about their contributions, and also there's the personal impacts that they've suffered, and also the bigger question of, how do we live in a world where we could blow everything up a couple times over? So it's complicated, and it's also very clear that the workers who gave a lot of their time and often their lives really deserve to be well taken care of, and that's what drives us.
Yeah, and so when we, and just to, I guess, step back a moment, so we have this huge population of workers and people that put themselves at risk at the time that it was needed over decades, and now some of them have, health problems, or they have issues. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I can. So similar to exposure to all sorts of stuff that's just occurred, our folks were specifically exposed to uranium, plutonium, silica, beryllium. These are elements that are often radioactive or can be fine particulates and cause respiratory illness. So we see folks that have cancers, and their approval into this whole program, which we can talk more about, is predicated on showing that that illness, whether it's a cancer or a respiratory illness, is more than likely tied to their work exposure. So a lot of our folks do have breathing issues, can present similar to an asbestosis or silicosis. And those types of lung conditions have a ton of impact on our ability to function in the world. If you're out of breath all the time, it's hard to just go about your activities, daily living, and live your life. And so that's where we can come in, both with nursing care to help people hopefully get better, but also just with help around the house so that their lives can be a little bit easier.
And so I know a big thing with benefits in general is really, like, awareness has to be built around these benefits, so that the people that are entitled to them, just that they even know. I know, like, for example, in the military community, a lot of times as somebody ages, they may not know they have, like, VA hospital benefits or care benefits or things like that. Does that same thing kind of apply to these nuclear workers from the sense that we need to build a better awareness for them to even just know that these benefits exist? Because I feel like that's one of the things that has to be done.
I agree, Adam. I think that's a great parallel. And we have a number of
Mhm.
these former workers in this population who are also veterans as well. So some are in kind of both groups, but
Mm.
it's a shared problem. One of our goals at Trusted Ally is just getting information out there. As
Yeah.
we've done some information campaigns, we've come across folks who've never even heard of this workers' compensation
Yeah.
program that has these great benefits. Some of it's lump sum compensation for them,
Mhm.
just payment for their time and their injury. Some of it is then also the medical benefits side so they can be well taken care of. So it's
Mm.
absolutely an opportunity just to educate folks. There's a number of different groups and organizations that are
Mhm.
attempting to do that. And here at Trusted Ally, that is one of our missions too, whether
Mhm.
we can be that information resource or whether we can turn people over to the Department of Labor has resource centers. They've got folks as well. So we really try to be not just a home health care provider, but also an information resource for these folks, their surviving spouses or children to their survivor benefits. So more than anything, we just like connecting people with
Mhm.
options and saying, hey, we know something about what you did just because of the nature of your work. How can we help? Sometimes it's home care, sometimes it's just information and saying, here's where you may go next.
Mm. So, listening to your background, right? So, tech, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and then now I think about it, I'm like, okay, home care, nuclear benefits, or nuclear workers and their benefits. Like, what sparked that idea? Like, what drove you kind of to taking this path as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that is a wonderful question. So this was not a business that I had set out and had designs
Yeah.
on. Like you said, my background was more in problems at scale,
Mm.
and this is a very niche business inside of home
Yeah.
healthcare. So this came about because my girlfriend at the time, now wife,
Mhm.
had a family member. Her great grandfather was a worker at a couple
Wow.
different sites in the program, and she got exposure to how important this program
Mhm.
was. The quality of home health care that she saw her great grandfather receive
Mm.
really, I think, changed her life in that she saw his quality of life improve, his
Mhm.
longevity improve. So she saw, wow, this special group of people really needs help. She
Wow.
and I were having a conversation 10 years ago. I was finishing up my MBA and
Yeah.
looking for what to do next. And out of that conversation with my now wife, we decided to start Trusted Ally to be of service to this population. Her connection and passion, my business background were naturally aligned to create this kind of partnership. And as I've gotten to know these folks over the past decade, we've done this.
Mhm.
It's become a part of my life and a part of my story too.
Wow, what an amazing story, and what a way to make a difference. And it's interesting to me because when I always ask people, I like to get their how did they come up with this idea or what was next? Because I think a lot of times when an entrepreneur, someone's earlier in their career, maybe they think they're supposed to have everything figured out or this or that. And I'm always laughing because I'm like, if I would have told somebody I was going to be a podcaster, I don't even know if podcasts were around when I was in school. I don't know in college. So like you don't have to have it all figured out. Like sometimes your mission or your calling or like it'll be presented to you and you'll just know.
I think that's exactly right, Adam. This was one that just seemed
Mhm.
like, why not do it? You know, we didn't have designs on being as big as we are, and now we're
Yeah.
continuing to grow. It was really to do something different and provide outstanding care. There are a number of providers in this somewhat small niche,
Mhm.
and what we had seen was some folks weren't getting the fulfillment on the promises that were made. They weren't getting the care that they really, frankly, deserve. So we started out doing the unskilled side of home health aides, and then about 5 years ago, we started doing the nursing side too. And our goal is to continue to just educate and find people that we can help. But again, it wasn't something that was on my landscape of career options. And I'm so grateful to my wife that she introduced me to this amazing population. It's that alignment of service and business that was always what I was doing. This is just a different flavor of it.
So, okay, so you're at the table, you have the idea at some point, and however those conversations looked, at some point you both made the decision, hey, we're all in, we're going for this thing. Like what happened next? Like tell us a little bit more about how it got started.
Yeah, so we started kind of slow, like I think some startups do. I had some other projects still kind of on the technology side that were going. My wife was doing some consulting. So we started small and said, hey, here's a group of people that their family members can actually be caregivers for them. And
Wow.
what we find a lot of times is the spouses, the children are the ones who are there every single day, helping their loved one, helping their parent.
Mhm.
People have quit jobs to go be a caregiver. And within this program, oftentimes a family member can be a paid caregiver. And
Mm.
I mean, that is just such a blessing for folks who
Yeah.
are already doing the hard work. They're putting in the time. So we
Mhm.
started out focused on that group and said, hey, look, we'll handle the boring stuff. We can do the paperwork and the billing and all that.
Yeah.
We just wanted to support these family members. And from there, we just kind of grew through word of mouth. We haven't traditionally done a ton of marketing until the past few years because our brand at Trusted Ally uh, is about care that comes from the heart, and we're
Yeah.
doing things for the right reason, and people tell their friends that. So we
Mm.
started with that unskilled side, and then as we were referring folks out to other agencies and they weren't getting that same level of care on the nursing side, we decided why not go down that road too. And that was about 5 years ago. We started the nursing side, and from there we haven't really looked back. It's been great growth. We're now able to provide holistic service for folks, and
Mhm.
oftentimes all the way through their lifespan, we're able to be with
Mhm.
them and partner with them and their families. So it's
Yeah.
been, I think, like a lot of stories, you just kind of stick with it. You never quit.
Mhm.
If you're in it for that right reason, or that heart-centered reason, then
Mhm.
you see those opportunities to scale. And we've jumped on that, and now we're going into our third state this year and have designs for.
Wow. Well, congratulations on the third state, and nothing's ever easy, and it's just awesome to hear because of your what you're aligned in doing and helping these workers. I mean, it's just really a win-win scenario, and it sounds to me like, correct me if I'm wrong, that like the business model as it's evolved and it's kind of progressed to the point to where you're really handling the patient or the worker through their entire life cycle towards this part because it sounds like it would start off with maybe it could start off with like you said the family member or something else like that, but then as they progress and maybe they get up there in age or have more needs, then maybe they go into the skilled nursing and then so on. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about just the life cycle of that and how all that
Yeah.
works?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. Thanks. We're an agency that meets people where they are. So we
Mm,
want to provide the level of care that's needed, but also we're very proactive in making sure we
mm,
keep people healthy. So what we do when we meet a client is we understand where they worked, what their needs were.
yeah.
Are they approved in this program already, or do they need some
Mm,
information and support figuring out how to get approved? It can take years, up to, we've heard, 5 to 10 years to get all the paperwork done to be able just to get
wow.
approved into the program. So that can be burdensome for a family who are
Yeah.
already dealing with a loved one with health issues. We try to make that process smoother and refer out to resources to help with that.
Mm,
But we really do try to understand someone's their case. What's their
mhm,
medical history? What are their current needs? What are the future needs? From there, we want to match with nurses who stay with our folks. One
mhm,
thing we do a little differently here is we look to create relationship between
yeah.
the client, their family, and the caregiver. One of the best compliments we've ever received is from a person in this patient population who'd been to 3 or 4 of our competitors and now
Mm,
has been with us for a number of years. And she said, you keep nurses with me. We're not constantly rotating them out. So it's not just
yeah.
someone new that you answer the door and they're there. We
Mm,
look to find folks who are compatible and can create that type of relationship. And our
mhm,
caregivers often become like second family for our folks. And that's, for us, I think, the highest standard, where
mm,
they really become more than just a nurse or a home health aide or CNA. They become a
yeah.
trusted part of that person's life. And we can be with someone all the way from, they may need a couple visits a week,
Mhm,
all the way up to, we have clients who are 24-hour day clients that need
yeah.
constant care and monitoring.
And it seems like also that, and I'm just a fan of working with an expert or somebody that really understands their niche. So, based off of you understanding, the paperwork and a lot of these other things, and really focusing on the needs of this very specific population, I mean, it just allows you to provide some different things, or even some different insight than maybe other providers would be able to do that are working with many different populations. Am I off on that, or?
I would say you're very, very on that.
Mm,
We've found that there are bigger home health agencies. Home health care is just a growing industry as the baby
yeah.
boomers want to age it in place and stay at home, of course. What we
Hmm.
found is some of the bigger agencies will try to take on some of these clients in
Hmm.
this former nuclear worker population. It's specialized in, like you said, the approval process. The care
Mhm.
that we deliver is standard home health care.
Yeah.
The care itself can be specialized to the conditions that we see, the cancers and the respiratory illness, but it
Mhm.
really is, as you said, the upstream experience and knowledge that we have over doing this for a decade of how
Mhm.
do we help navigate the Department of Labor.
Yeah.
Uh, it's complicated. It can take a lot of time, and it's very stressful. And we look to take as much of that off of our clients' plates as possible.
Mm. Talk about working with the families, because I feel like a lot of times, especially depending on what stage in the worker's journey they're on, like the families are very involved and they need to be part of that team, so to speak. So tell me a little bit more about the family and how everybody kind of works together as a team there.
Yeah, we look to involve family to whatever degree the client wants them
Mhm.
involved and whatever degree the family wants to be involved. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have a family member who's living there and the client is receiving 24-hour
Mhm.
care. There's a lot of communication and coordination. It is never easy, I think, having a person who is at first a stranger
Mhm.
and then becomes a trusted advisor over time come into your home. And so we're really
Yeah.
sensitive to how do we do communication? How do we create a partnership there? Our folks are screened and vetted. We like to hire the best of the best
Mhm.
for our folks. So we really want to create that trusted relationship. And that really just is a matter of checking in and saying, what do you need? How can we help? And with the family members, it's often the case that they're doing a lot of this on their own. So when we can
Mhm.
bring in some of this outside help that are great at what they do, they're trustworthy, they're kind and compassionate, it gives the family members often a chance to just take a breath and relax, maybe
Mhm.
get out of the house for the first time in a while, just know that their loved one's going to be well taken care of. And oftentimes it, reduces anxiety.
Mhm.
We hear so many thank yous from folks about how their lives have improved, the family members'
Mhm.
lives, not just the clients. So it really is about being of service to the population, the workers front and center, and then
Yeah.
the family around them.
Yeah, I remember when my mother was taking care of my grandparents, towards the end of their life, and like what you said, like that relief of being able to get out the house or do something else or whatever, just that little bit of time, like it's so needed, and it's just it's just improves the household, it improves the situation, and there's just a lot of dynamics there. So I can just see how having somebody like trusted ally there to help at whatever stage, like you said, meeting them where they're at is just a huge, huge crucial part to the overall team, really,
Yeah.
and the approach. So I think it's awesome. You mentioned your third state. I mean, let's go further into
Yeah.
the geographies and the areas that you're serving. So tell me more about that.
So we're headquartered here in Colorado, just south of Denver. We have our patient population here. In
Mhm.
2021, we were very fortunate to find an organization similar to ours focused on the former nuclear worker
Mhm.
population in New Mexico. And so we acquired them. So we're
Yeah.
now in Colorado and New Mexico. We like to grow inorganically through those types of acquisitions very
Mhm.
carefully to find values aligned organizations. And with this group in New Mexico, they were two nurses who started their business for the same reasons we started ours. So it's a real easy
Mhm.
relationship to build and the same types of care values there. Our
Mhm.
third state is Nevada. We're finishing our license there. We've got our team getting built out there. Nevada had the Nevada test site where
Mhm.
we did many of the test detonations of these devices above ground and underground, a very rich history of the research and the testing out there. There
Mhm.
were tons of workers out there that still are out there. In fact,
Mhm.
my wife Candace's great grandfather worked at the Nevada test site, so that's one that's close
Mhm.
to her heart. So we'll be in Nevada 2022. As
Mhm.
we look at national expansion, a lot of our bigger competitors are in a number of states, and we're looking to be measured in where we go next.
Yeah.
Being here in Colorado, Utah, Arizona, some of these other states that we can have proximity to, so we can make sure that the levels of care, the standards of care, are the same whether we go into a new state organically or whether we look for an acquisition partner.
Mm, fantastic. Well, Xander, I'll tell you, it's been great learning about what you're doing, how the business was started, all the things that you're doing to help the nuclear program workers, as they many times put their lives at risk and definitely expose themselves to some things due to, the times and what was need to be done and just the greater good there. So I think it's awesome that that's where your mission is taking you. So I know you're busy. I know you're expanding, a lot of things going on. I got to ask, so what's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for the company?
Yeah, what is next for us here is growth. As we grow into new markets, we're adding members to our team. So we've got a great executive team. We're always looking for outstanding clinicians. So if you're a nurse or you know a nurse or you're a home health aide / CNA, reach out to us. We love hiring great people who have the heart for this type of work too. Growth for us is going to continue in these markets that we're in. We're continuing to look at this national focus. And, the most important thing to us is education and outreach. So we're looking to let former nuclear workers know that they have these type of benefits. There's no cost to them. This is a free program that was set up to take care of them. And we want to let as many people know as possible that this exists and where we can partner and help people with the home healthcare side. Of course, that's something that we love to do and we want to do more of it.
So if somebody's watching this and they want to learn more, whether they're one of those workers themselves or they have a family member that was a worker and they want to get them the information, I mean, what's the best way for people to follow up and to connect?
Yeah, thanks, Adam, for that question. The best way to connect with us at Trusted Ally is give us a call at 1-888-ATOMIC-6. And actually, we'll have to edit that out. I apologize. This is our new number. It's 866-ATOMIC-6. So you can give us a call. We've got information experts that are ready to have a conversation, learn more about you or your family member, 866-ATOMIC-6. Or you can go to trustedallyhomecare.com or tahc.com. Get in touch with us. We're here to help. We'd love to just have a chat and say, nice to meet you. What did you do? Tell us about your job. We love learning about all the jobs folks did or their family members did. So we'd love to just connect and see how we can help.
Fantastic. And we'll definitely put all that information in the show notes as well so that our audience can just go check it out there. Either head to the website or obviously just make a phone call. And to the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, we're all about bringing on entrepreneurs and experts and executives who have a mission to share, who have something that they want to get out there to the world and to really showcase their mission and what they're doing in the overall marketplace. So if that's the kind of content that you're into, definitely hit that subscribe button because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Xander, really, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. Look forward to continuing to watch your journey and thank you.
Thank you, Adam. It's been a blast. Thanks, man.